Becky attended her high school reunion last weekend.
Hello.
All of her friends seemed to be doing really well in life. Connor showed up wearing clothes from expensive brands.
Hello.
Matilda had not just one, but two of the latest smartphones.
Oh.
Tom showed up in a fancy sports car, and Beth was wearing a luxurious watch on her wrist. Take a good look at Becky's friends. Can you tell who is really rich? Well, let's see. If you look closely, Connor didn't take off the tags from his clothes. This probably means that he's planning on returning them after the reunion.
Yeah.
Matilda's phones are fake. Look at the label. It's just a copy of the original brand.
Ah.
And Beth's watch is way bigger than her wrist, which means that the watch is not really hers. So, Tom is probably the richest person at the reunion.
Oh, yeah.
Amy's favorite band is in town, and she really wants to go to their concert. She asks her stepmother if she can go, but she says she will only allow Amy to go if she does a series of things for her.
Oh.
The first thing the stepmother asks is for Amy to bring her some water in a colander. To get this right, Amy needs to think outside the box.
Okay.
Can you help Amy figure out how she can do that? Amy needs to freeze some water and put the cubes in the colander.
Yeah.
Technically, frozen water is still water, right? Next, her stepmother asks Amy to pick out the perfect evening dress for her. Amy walks into her stepmother's closet, and there are 3 dresses: a red, a green, and a blue. Take a look at the picture. Which dress should Amy choose? If you look closely, the button on the blue dress is about to come off. The green dress has a big paint stain on it, so Amy should pick the red dress.
Yes.
Before Amy can take the dress to her stepmother, the woman enters the room. She sees the stain on the dress and starts to shout at Amy, "How could you do this to my dress?" But Amy says she didn't do anything wrong, and that the paint was already there when she walked into the closet.
Yes.
The stepmother asks Amy to find the culprit.
Oh.
If she could figure out who had stained her dress, then Amy could go to the concert.
Okay.
The 3 main suspects are Amy's stepsisters, Ella, Bella, and Gabriella.
What?
They don't like Amy, so it's likely that one of them splashed paint on their mother's dress in order to frame her. When the stepsisters are out of the house, Amy sneaks into their bedroom to try to find the culprit. Take a look at the room. The first bed belongs to Ella, the second belongs to Bella, and the third bed belongs to Gabriella. Can you tell who did it? It was Gabriella. Her bed is the third one on the left. And if you look closely, it has a bucket of paint under it. Emily and Barbara are getting ready for a girls' night out.
Yes.
They are putting on makeup and getting their hair done. They have pretty similar tastes, and their things look pretty much the same. But one of them has more money than the other.
Oh.
Looking at the image, can you tell which one has the more expensive stuff? Take a look at Barbara. Her dress kind of gives it away since it's obviously a knockoff. So Emily is the one with the more expensive stuff. Harry decided to backpack around the world on his own.
Yeah.
On the plane, he sat next to a girl. He asked her where she was from.
Yes.
But instead of answering, she showed him 2 emojis on her cell phone.
Oh.
Take a look at the image. Can you tell which country the girl is from? Let's see. That's an iron and a piece of land. I guess she's from Ireland? As soon as Harry landed in Paris, he went strolling along the streets to find a place to stay. He found a cute little hotel and decided to go inside. Big mistake. Why? Take a look at the window on the last floor. It looks like there's a ghost. Yikes. I'd look for another place to stay if I were him. After he found a better hotel to stay in, he decided to get lunch. He ordered the classic French onion soup. But when his dish came, it was filled with cockroaches. He called the restaurant's manager to tell them about the incident. The manager said, "This is unacceptable. I will find the person who did this and fire them immediately." There were 3 suspects: The cook said that he had prepared the soup as usual. It was okay when he passed it to the waiter. The waiter said that he hadn't touched the soup. He just served it to Harry and hurried to take the order from another table. The manager also questioned the cleaner, who said that he had spent the last hours cleaning the bathroom and had no idea what the fuss was about. Can you tell who is guilty? No one. Look at the ventilation system. It's full of roaches. They must have crawled out of it and fallen into Harry's soup. Yikes. There are 3 passengers in the business class of an international flight that is headed towards Rome. Take a look at these 3 people. The first lady looks pretty well dressed. She's wearing a luxurious designer handbag and is texting on her expensive phone.
Hello.
The guy in the middle is working with stock charts on his laptop, and the third guy is enjoying a cup of coffee while reading an article in the Financial Times. Can you tell which one is the real billionaire? Let's see. The woman may look well dressed, but if you see the tag on her clothes, it says 100% polyester. It's unlikely that a billionaire would wear something like this. The guy working with stock charts is wearing old, ripped shoes. I doubt that's a fashion choice, so he's probably not a billionaire. Oh. That leaves us the last guy. If you look closely, the article he is reading is about him. The title of the article is The World's Newest Billionaire. Oh, yeah. I guess we found our guy, huh? Detective Smith was called to investigate a burglary at the city's museum. Oh. A priceless diamond disappeared, and the thief left no trace behind. After analyzing the museum's security cameras, Detective Smith gathered 3 suspects: the security guard, the museum's curator, and a visitor. The security guard said he only left his post during lunchtime, and he could swear that the diamond still wasn't missing at that time. The museum curator spent the day guiding a tour of the museum for a foreign group. They came to see the diamond at the beginning of the tour, and it was still shining bright in its place. The visitor said he only popped in for a quick visit and didn't even pass through the Metzi aisle where the diamond was kept. After these 3 interviews, Detective Smith found the thief. Can you tell who it was? It was the visitor. First of all, he knew the exact location of the diamond inside the museum. Plus, take a look at that string he's fiddling with in his left hand. Detective Smith pulled it from under his sleeve and voila, the diamond was attached to it. I guess he didn't have time to go home and get rid of the diamond, huh? Julie and her friends decided to spend the weekend at a cabin in the woods. They arrived on Friday evening and spent the night playing board games and telling spooky stories. When they woke up on Saturday morning, they found that someone had stolen all their food supply. The door's glass was shattered, but other than that, there were no signs of who could have done it. So the group decided to search the surrounding woods to see if they could find the culprit. Take a good look at the scene the group stumbled upon and see if you can find out who took their food. What's that at the left corner? Those look like bear footprints, huh? And not just one, but rather an entire family of bears. Oh, and they even left an Oreo wrapper on the ground as evidence. Yep, these grizzlies were the culprits for sure. Atlas woke up in the attic of an abandoned house. He tried to find a way out of the house, but all he could find was a room with 3 doors. Each door hid a different danger. The windows and floor behind the first door were made entirely of magnifying glass, which meant that the sunlight would probably burn him if he entered. The second door hid a room full of poisonous gas, and behind the third door was a hungry lion. What should Atlas do to escape? He should wait until it's nighttime and use the first door. Sydney told her mom that her gymnastics team would go to a sports camp for the weekend. She asked her mom to help her pack a bag for the trip. Her mother packed everything she thought her daughter would need. When Sydney came back from the weekend, she was telling her mother all about the trip. But somewhere during the conversation, she asked her mother why she hadn't packed a toothbrush. The mother immediately knew Sydney was lying about where she had really been that weekend. How? Because Sydney's mother did pack a toothbrush, but she put it under Sydney's gymnastics clothes. If Sydney had really gone camping, she would have used the clothes and found the toothbrush. Kimberly discovered 3 bags in an old attic along with a note. The note said that there were $1 million inside one of the bags. It also said that the 2 other bags were empty. She only had one chance to figure out which bag had the cash, and she could trust that one of the messages written on the bags was true. On the first bag, it said, "The cash is not here." On the second bag, it was written, "The cash is not here." The last bag read, "The cash is in the second bag." If you were Kimberly, which bag would you choose? You should choose the first bag. If only one of the clues is true, then the money is in the first bag. The police have been after Mr. Burke for many years, trying to prove he's involved in illicit activities, but they never managed to catch him. One day, Detective Lawrence decided to make a surprise visit to Mr. Burke's office. As soon as the detective arrived, Mr. Burke's secretary said he was away on a business trip. The detective asked to see Mr. Burke's office and took a picture of it, but he wasn't allowed to touch anything without a warrant. So, Detective Lawrence went back to the station and got a warrant. When he returned to Mr. Burke's office, he noticed someone had been in there. Take a look at both pictures and try to find out what Detective Lawrence saw. The desk lamp is tilted and the books are in different places. Someone definitely was in that room. Detective Lawrence decided to search Mr. Burke's entire office. In one room, he found there were footprints up until the middle of the room, and then they disappeared. The only window of the room was open. "Oh no!" Detective Lawrence shouted. "I can't believe he escaped again." He took a picture of the room and took it to the police station. At the station, he showed the picture to the other detectives, and one of them said he had cracked the case. Take a look at the picture. How did the detective solve the case? The detective understood that Mr. Burke was a shapeshifter. This explains why the footprints didn't reach the window. Plus, look at all the bird food on the floor. He probably shapeshifted into a bird and escaped.
Driving through the country to visit their family. One day, late at night, they were on a lonely country road. That's when a powerful storm broke, and their car tire burst. They had to leave the vehicle to find help, but there was nothing, and no one around. Sometime later, they came across an old and spooky mansion that seemed abandoned, but the guys decided to try and see if anyone lived there and could help them. They arrived at the mansion gate. On a metal address plaque, it was written, "The House of Riddles." Gemma and Andy got suspicious, but they desperately needed shelter from the storm and some help with their car. So they decided to enter. But the gate was locked. There was a digital security keypad on it and nothing else. Suddenly, they heard a sound coming from the gate intercom. A voice said,
"The answer to this riddle of mine is the password you need to unlock the gate. I sleep by day and fly at night, but I have no feathers to aid my flight. What am I?"
"That's a bat." When the guys arrived at the door, they saw there was something engraved on it. "Stop right there, wanderer. Don't knock on the door just yet. For if you knock more or fewer times than you should, that you're gonna regret. Here's your second riddle. I am an odd number, but I become even if you take away a letter. What am I?" Gemma and Andy realized that the number equaled the number of times they had to knock on the door for it to open. Can you help them figure out the correct number? The answer is 7, so they had to knock on the door 7 times. A scary old butler opened the door and let the guys in. The door suddenly closed behind their backs, and then just vanished into thin air. There were no doors in the room they had entered. The butler said, "Welcome, mortals, to your doom. To make it out of this house, you have to solve every riddle in every room. If you can't, you'll stay in this place forever. here's your riddle for this room. Which bride is marrying this groom? If they managed to figure out the answer, a door would appear. If they could not, well, too bad. Do you see the shadows behind them? The third bride's shadow is holding hands with the groom's shadow. They're in love, so she must be his chosen one. After they answered the riddle correctly, a door appeared in front of them. They got into the next room, which was a library. 3 books fell from a bookcase in front of their feet. Then they heard the butler's voice echoing. You have to open one of these books, but choose wisely, because whatever creature the book mentions, it will appear here. If Gemma and Andy opened the first book, a venomous basilisk would come out. If they opened the second book, a giant piranha monster with razor-sharp teeth would appear in the library. If they opened the third book, a fire-breathing dragon would charge at them. Which book should they choose? Since the giant piranha is a water creature, it can't survive on land, so the guys should choose the second book. The library door opened, and they walked into the next room. It turned out to be a dining room. A large mirror covered one of its walls, yet the reflection of the room in the mirror had some differences from the real room. Can you spot them? The reflection of the deer statue in the mirror has more antlers. In the reflection, you can see someone hiding behind the curtains. But there's no one besides Gemma and Andy in the room. And lastly, in the mirror, one of the plates on the table is different from the others. But in the real dining room, all the plates are the same. Gemma and Andy felt very hungry. Thankfully, the next door that opened led them to the kitchen. There were 3 different chefs inside. The first chef was a zombie, the second one was a vampire, and the third chef was human. Each of them was holding a pie in their hands, but only one pie was safe to eat. Which one? Do you see the bugs coming out of the zombie chef's pie? Yikes! The pie that the human chef is holding is glowing in a weird way. Looks dangerous to me. So, they should choose the vampire chef's pie. Because that's not blood, that's cherry sauce on top. If it was blood, the vampire would have already eaten that. After they answered the riddle, 2 doors appeared in front of them. One of them had Gemma's name on it, and the other had Andy's. The butler sneaked behind the guys and pushed Gemma through the Gemma door, and Andy through the Andy door. Gemma fell down a pit and found herself in a mysterious garden. She accidentally woke a garden gnome who had been sleeping. He got very angry with her, and still, he agreed to let Gemma go if she answered his question correctly. He showed Gemma 3 tiny mushroom houses and asked which one was his home. Can you figure it out? Do you see the flower on the gnome's hat? The door handle of the second mushroom house handle is the same flower, so that must be his home. Andy, on the other hand, fell into a magical dungeon. The dungeon guard was an ogre, and he looked very pleased to finally have a prisoner. Yet he agreed to let Andy go if the guy chose the correct magical portal to escape. 2 magical portals appeared in front of him. Each of them led to a room. Andy had to stay inside the room of his choice for 5 minutes. The first room was full of poisonous gas that would knock him out in 4 minutes, and the second room was filled with water. If Andy opted for this room, he would have to be chained to the floor, with the water rising really fast. In which room can the guy survive? Andy should choose the first room. He should take a breath and try not to breathe for a minute. After that, he'll have to wait for 4 minutes for the door to open, and then he can escape. Both Gemma and Andy were magically transported to the hallway after having answered their riddles correctly. They were happy to be together again. At the end of the hallway, there was a door, and in front of the door, a witch stood. She placed 3 long magic wands on the table in front of her and said,
You do not need to do anything to one of these wands. One you must break in half, and one needs to be even shorter than that half.
The witch added that they could only answer once. And if their answer was wrong, she wouldn't open the door. So, can you tell which wand should be the longest, which one they need to break into half, and which one needs to be the shortest? Do you see those spiders hanging from the ceiling? Since the door is shaped like a spider, they must be giving Gemma and Andy a hint. The silk thread that the first spider is hanging on is the shortest, so the first wand needs to be the shortest. The silk thread that the second spider is hanging on is the longest, which means that the second wand needs to remain as it is. And the silk thread that the third spider is hanging on is of a medium length, which means that the guys need to break the third wand in half. The witch opened the door and Gemma and Andy entered a bedroom. 3 spirits were floating inside. Each of them claimed to be the owner of the mansion. Gemma knew only one of them was telling the truth. Who is it? The spirit of the elderly lady is telling the truth. Why? Let's rewind a bit. Did you notice the portraits hanging on the walls in the hallway? There's a portrait of this very lady. That can only mean she used to be one of the owners of the mansion. The next stop was a living room. When they walked in, Andy saw something weird. What was it? A face appears and disappears in the fireplace. The guys entered a study next. What's so weird here? The fingers of this medieval knight's armor are tapping on the sword. The next room was a guest bedroom. What's weird here? The crystal ball is showing someone trapped in the basement. Gemma and Andy decided to take a look at the basement in case someone really needed help. Yet they had to crack another riddle to enter. There was a password panel, and they needed to type in 7 digits to unlock the door. They had no idea what the passcode could be. Luckily, there was a note on the wall, and this word was written on it. What does it even mean? Turn the note upside down. What do you see now? The letters look like numbers, right? So the passcode is 1837837. There were 3 people in the basement who claimed to be trapped there, but only one of them was telling the truth. Who is that? Do you see the stitches on the elbows of this lady? She's a creepy rag doll, so she's lying. And this man has claws instead of fingers. He must be a shapeshifter or something. Then it must be this guy who's telling the truth. So Gemma and Andy took him with them. After the guys answered every riddle in every room correctly, the butler appeared again. "Thank you, travelers. Now you're free to go. But this you must know. All of us in this house are cursed. Answer this one last riddle for the curse to be reversed. Once we are finally free, we'll help you with your car too. You'll see. There are 9 people in front of you. One of them is a monster who cursed us. Tell us who." This guy has 2 horns that are hiding in his hair. He is not a human. He's a monster.
Jill and Jim live in the US. One day, Jim goes on a business trip to Europe. Jill misses him very much, so she calls him up. She asks Jim to take a selfie and send it to her. He agrees. Jill gets furious as soon as she sees the picture. Jill, you're a liar. How did Jill figure it out? Europe and the US are in different time zones, but in Jim's photo, it's noon. That's American time. He never left the country. Can you find a zombie in this picture? Over here. What about this ski resort? Can you spot any zombies? Hello? And now let's see if you can find a zombie in this amusement park. It's hiding over here. The biggest bank in town was robbed last night. The local police investigate this case and find 2 suspects. They go to search their houses. The officer sees a clue and figures out who the criminal is. How did he guess? Let's take a look at the walls. There's the same picture in both houses. But this one is hanging upside down. There's probably a stash behind it. Busted. A teacher has 21 colored pencils. 7 red, 7 yellow, and 7 blue. She needs to divide them into 2 piles so that one pile would have 3 times fewer red pencils than the second one. And the second pile should have 2 times fewer yellow pencils compared to the first pile. How many blue pens would be in each pile? Zero. The teacher had 21 pencils, not pens. Can you rearrange these crayons and make 4 triangles? To solve this mystery, you gotta think outside the box. Here's the correct answer. Let's make the task a little harder. Can you remove just 2 crayons to make 2 squares? Ready to see the result? There you go. Donna goes to a supermarket and spots something weird. 2 of these women are pregnant, but one of them just stole a watermelon. Can you guess who? It's the third lady. She's wearing high heels, not what pregnant women would wear to a grocery store. Kitty wakes up in a creepy basement. She needs to open this door to escape. Can you guess the right order to press the buttons? Kitty needs to make the word unlock from the first letters of each emoji. Therefore, she should press the buttons in the following order: unicorn, nose, lobster, onion, cactus, kiss, and voila. Today is Cassie's birthday. She brings a cake to work to celebrate with her colleagues, Stan, Gemma, and Rosie. Cassie unpacks the cake in the office kitchen. Suddenly, Granny calls, and Cassie goes outside to talk to her. After a while, Cassie returns and finds her precious birthday cake on the floor. She questions everyone. Stan says, "I was sending an important email, so I didn't look at the kitchen. But I think it was Gemma. She's just pretending to be your friend." Gemma says, "I went to the toilet to wash my hands. When I returned, the cake was already on the floor." And Rosie says, "I don't know what happened. I went to the opposite side of the room to turn on the coffee machine. I made cappuccino for everyone." Who's lying? The coffee machine is off, and all the coffee mugs are empty. Therefore, Rosie lied. She was busy doing something else while Cassie was away. Detective Bold is having lunch at his favorite cafe. He looks through the window and sees his neighbor Zelda rushing home. They both live next to the cafe. Suddenly, Zelda runs back and approaches the detective. Zelda: "Please help me. My apartment was robbed while I was out. I didn't touch anything. I just ran here right away to find you." Detective Bold goes to see the crime scene. He looks around and says, "Stop fooling around, Zelda. There was no robbery." How did he know? Take a look at this umbrella. Zelda carried it with her when she was rushing home, but she told the detective that she didn't touch anything at the crime scene. She just threw her stuff around the room to make it look like a robbery. Take a look at this fancy group of people. One of them is a real vampire. Can you guess who? It's the second guy. The first guy struggles with drinking this reddish beverage. The lady is just wearing a cosplay costume. And the guy on the right is taking a selfie, which means he shows up on camera. Therefore, he's a human being. Jeff calls the police early in the morning. Jeff, my neighbor cut down a tree on my car. A policeman arrives soon. Policeman, what happened? Jeff, my neighbor and I had a quarrel last night. When I was ready to go to bed, I saw him standing in front of my car. In the morning, I went out to drive to work and saw this. My car is pretty old, but he still has to pay compensation for the damage. The policeman questions Jeff's neighbor. He says, Jeff is a bit weird. He's always trying to start a quarrel for no reason. I didn't touch the car. I was sleeping all night long. The policeman examines the car and immediately realizes which of the neighbors was lying. Who cut the tree down? Can you guess? Jeff. He cut down the tree with this axe and then tried to put the blame on his neighbor to hit him up for money. Mike is an astronaut. His team consists of 2 other people. They're twins, Rob and Bob. They go to Mars for a month to study the local life forms. Time flies by quickly, and today they have to return to Earth. Mike goes to say hi to his little crew, but he finds 6 identical people in the spaceship. Mike realizes that the Martians can take any shape. Whom should he take back to Earth? This astronaut has 3 fingers. This guy's hair color is different. This imposter has forgotten to put on human ears. And this guy has different eye color. So the real Bob and Rob are over here. What's wrong here? The goalkeeper is holding a tennis racket. Also, why do they need 2 hockey pucks? Shelly downloads a dating app hoping to find new love. She likes several guys. They begin to chat and share some selfies. All 3 guys claim to be single and living alone, but only one of them is telling the truth. Can you guess who? The first guy sent Shelly a selfie from his bathroom. He's wearing a bathrobe, but there's another silk bathrobe hanging in the background. It's pink and small. Why would he need it if he's living alone? And the second guy is obviously fond of jewelry. He's wearing a ring on each finger, including the ring finger. So he's probably married. Only the third guy is telling the truth. And Shelly should give him a chance. A dangerous criminal escapes from prison. The police are chasing him, and the trail leads them into a small village. They question the locals and check the fields. Soon they see a farmer in a cornfield. The detective asks him if he had seen any suspicious strangers around. Farmer: sorry, I didn't focus on what's going on around me. I was too busy dealing with my corn. It's getting dark soon, and I need to harvest as soon as possible. The detective immediately figures out that this guy is the wanted runaway criminal. How? Corn is not harvested like this, so he can't be a real farmer. Can you see any odd details here? The phone is unplugged, and the laptop is missing a keyboard. Can you spot anything odd? Take a look at this guy. His fishing style is pretty weird. What about this scene? What are they doing wrong? This lady is skating on the pavement.
A mysterious, daring thief committed a series of bank robberies in the city. The criminal is acting with a unique style. He leaves enigmatic pictures with two symbols at each crime scene. Detectives are confused. But thankfully, a police dog helps them track traces and leads them to an old house in a creepy neighborhood. The detectives find 3 suspects, but each of them has a strong alibi. Mr. Wildrose says, "I was busy celebrating my birthday with friends." Mr. Showberry says, "I was visiting a nighttime art exhibition, but unfortunately it wasn't allowed to take pictures inside." And Mr. Greenman says, "I had to stay home because I was sick. My mother was taking care of me, so she can verify my words." Can you spot the thief? Do you remember the picture of the crime scene? It shows a snowflake and a berry. This hint points to Mr. Snowberry. The detectives arrest Mr. Snowberry, but he finds a way to escape from his cell. The policemen are chasing him around a 2-story jail building. Mr. Snowberry hides on the roof and decides to jump off it. Can you guess why he decided to jump instead of climbing this tree? If he climbs the tree, he'll disturb these birds. They'll fly away and the police will notice him. Mr. Snowberry jumps and blacks out. After a while, he wakes up and finds himself locked in a small room. Mr. Snowberry looks around and finds a door. He tries to open it, but it's locked. He notices 3 buttons on the door. There's a circle on the first button, a triangle on the second one, and a square on the third button. He doesn't know which one he should press to unlock the door. Luckily, he finds a note with 3 numbers, 12, 4, and 8. Can you guess which button he should choose? There's a clock right above the door, and it's here for a reason. If we draw lines connecting 12, 4, and 8, we'll get a triangle. So he should press the triangle button. Mr. Snowberry manages to escape. He's starving and makes a stop at a restaurant. The waiter brings 2 trays of food. There are 3 differences between these meals. Can you spot them? Ready to see the correct answer? Here they are.
Yes!
The policemen spot Mr. Snowberry at the restaurant. They begin to chase the criminal, and he hides in this street. Can you help them find Mr. Snowberry? He's over here. Finally, Mr. Snowberry ends up in jail. But the city is shocked by another crime that happened in a historical museum. Someone stole an ancient emerald statue during an exhibition. This artifact is expensive and very rare. So the detective starts his investigation immediately. He finds 3 suspects who were standing close to the crime scene. But each of them denies any involvement in the theft. Jeff says, "I was recently released from prison. I'd like to recover my reputation, so I avoid any trouble with the law." Peter, who claims to be a writer, says, "I would never risk my reputation for the sake of some stupid statue." And Frank says, "Sir, I'm a billionaire. I have enough money to buy this entire museum." Who is lying? Frank. He said he's a billionaire. Why would he wear a fake brand? Molly's kitten is missing. She's looking for her pet in the park and comes across these 3 strangers. One of them stole her kitten. Can you guess who? The first lady is just holding a bag with a toy cat. The second lady is pregnant. But the third guy is hiding a real kitten under his clothes. A weird incident happened at Mr. Green's hotel. All the fish disappeared from the aquarium. It's late, so Mr. Green suspects only 4 employees. Bobby, the porter, says, "I spent the whole day carrying guest bags, so I simply didn't have time for any thefts." The cleaner, Amy, says, "When I arrived at work, the aquarium was already empty." The waiter, Harry, says, "I was working all day, so I didn't walk near the aquarium." Meanwhile, Mary, the manager, says, "I don't like fish at all. I prefer dogs." After hearing their stories, Mr. Green knows for sure who stole the fish. What about you? Take a look at the puddle on the floor. Seems like Harry has recently gotten soaked, probably because he was trying to catch the fish from the aquarium. Oh no! Lauren checks into Mr. Green's hotel. In the lobby, she meets 3 porters who offer to take care of her luggage. But only one of them is trustworthy. Can you guess who? The first porter wears 2 watches, one on his left hand and one on his right. The left watch is too big, so it's probably stolen.
Really?
It's not safe to trust your luggage to a thief. And the third porter is a ghost. His feet don't touch the ground. Therefore, Lauren should trust the second guy. Me? I just get out of that hotel. Anyway, Lauren goes to the local nightclub. Kyle, Tom, and Nick invite her to dance. But only one of them is safe to dance with. What's your guess? Tom wears a leather jacket with sharp spikes.
Oh.
He can accidentally scratch Lauren while dancing. Take a look at Kyle's feet. It looks like he's about to turn into a werewolf.
Oh my god.
Lauren returns to the hotel and finds out that someone stole her favorite necklace from her room.
Oh god.
She runs to the lobby and faces 4 people: a manager, a janitor, a guest, and a porter. She asks, "Who stole my necklace?" But everyone swears to have nothing to do with the robbery. Can you help Lauren find the thief? It's the manager. She hid Lauren's necklace in her glass of water.
What?
The next morning, Lauren is having breakfast in the garden. Suddenly, somebody pulls a paint bucket prank on her. Take a look at the hotel guests. Can you figure out who did it? It was definitely the first guy. There are paint stains on his pants, and the color matches the prank paint perfectly. In the garden, Lauren finds something very curious. It's not alive, but it has 5 fingers. What is it? A glove. Mr. Green enters his office and finds a pleasant surprise on his desk. Someone brought a huge box of his favorite chocolates.
Yes.
Mr. Green questions his employees, but everyone swears to have nothing to do with the gift. The cleaning lady, Glenda, says, "Sir, I haven't entered your office room yet. I was too busy cleaning the bathrooms." The hostess, Holly, said, "I entered your room 2 hours ago to bring some documents. I didn't notice any chocolates." And the manager, Kara, said, "Wow, I had no idea you like chocolates. I started my shift 30 minutes ago and I didn't leave the lobby." Who's the secret admirer? Can you guess? According to Kara, she didn't enter Mr. Green's office, but she dropped one of her hairpins on the floor. Mr. Green invites Kara for lunch at the local buffet. There are 4 meals that they can enjoy: pizza, pasta, salad, and sushi. However, some of these meals are not safe. Can you figure out which ones? This pasta contains shoelaces, so it's not safe to eat. And there's a bee sitting on the sushi. It can sting, so this option isn't safe either. Lauren goes for a walk in the forest. Suddenly, she sees a weird cave with mysterious lights.
Oh my god.
She enters the cave and gets teleported to a parallel universe. Can you help her spot the difference between this reality and the normal world? This lady is wearing shoes on her hands. Well, that's weird. Lauren meets a wizard who promises to send her home. But first, she has to crack his riddle. Spelled forwards, I'm what you do every day. Spelled backward, I'm something you hate. What am I? If we spelled live backwards, we'll get evil. So the correct answer is live. Harry and Larry are twins. They were born in May, but their birthday is in June. How is this possible? Well, it's possible because May is a town. Gotcha.
Hannah runs a dance show. She arrived in Finland with the 3 best dancers to perform during the winter holidays. On the first day of the trip, Hannah started to feel really bad and was taken to the doctor. After examining Hannah, the doctor claimed that someone had poisoned the girl. Hannah's manager flew in to interrogate each one of the dancers and find out if they'd had anything to do with what happened to Hannah. Kira said that she and the other girls had left the hotel early in the morning to explore the city. She also mentioned that Hannah had stayed behind to do a conference call in her room. Pam said she had spent the afternoon swimming at the beach, and that when she returned, she noticed Hannah was looking pretty bad. April said she decided to go to the museum all by herself since the other girls didn't want to join her. Hannah's manager noticed the girls' testimonies didn't match, and that it was definitely one of them who'd done it. Can you guess who is the culprit? It was Pam.
Oh, no.
She mentioned she'd gone to the beach, but it's wintertime in Finland. The water is freezing and mainly frozen this time of the year. She should have worked better on her alibi.
Oh no.
Hannah's manager called the police, and they arrested Pam. Kira and April felt bad for their friend, but they still had to put on a show, and now they were a dancer short. The girls decided to look online for a new dancer. They found 3 girls who might do a good job at replacing Pam. Deborah, Lily, and Sally. One of the girls is a perfect match for the trio. Can you guess who? It's Sally. Both of the other profiles are fake. If you look closely at Deborah's picture, you'll see that the shadow on the back is not hers. It's definitely photoshopped. And look at Lily's birthday information. If that were true, she wouldn't have been born yet. Keith was a singer, and he was going to perform at Bath's House of Performing Arts. He was taking all of his equipment backstage to get ready for a sound check when a police officer ran into the room. The officer said that one of the actors from that night's show was a runaway criminal. There were 4 actors playing Santa Claus, but one of them was a fake. Take a look at their bags. Can you figure out who the criminal is? It's the owner of the 3rd bag. Santa never shaves off his beard, and that guy is carrying shaving cream. He must be the runaway. Becky just bought new augmented reality goggles. She decided to play one of the games available, and this picture popped up right in front of her. These 3 people sure are in some bizarre situations, but which one doesn't make any sense? The man on the left is walking on lava. Sure, someone can do that, although it won't last for too long without the right kind of shoes. The man on the right is walking on desert sand, which is fully normal. But the woman in the middle looks like she is walking on burning water. That definitely doesn't make any sense. Felicity was 10 weeks pregnant when she decided to try a new doctor in town. The doctor did an ultrasound of her belly and gladly said, "Ah, it's a boy." Felicity looked confused and said, "No, I'm pretty sure I'm having twins." The doctor was the one that looked confused after Felicity's answer. "Take a look at both women. Can you tell who's right?" Felicity is right. I mean, take a look at this doctor. She isn't even a real doctor in the first place. She's not wearing proper medical attire, and she doesn't look like she knows what she is doing. Alex watched one too many Indiana Jones movies and decided to go to Egypt to explore ancient monuments. He spent days and days walking underground to try to find something valuable. One morning, when exploring a crypt, he ran into a huge wall full of symbols. Among the symbols, there was an encrypted message. It went like this: sun plus sun equals sign, moon plus moon equals sign, wave plus wave equals sign. Can you help Alex figure out the encoded message? This is not an easy one, but here's how it works. Sun has 3 letters, moon has 4 letters, and waves has 5 letters. So the encrypted message is the number sequence. 6, 8, 10. Way to go, you. Take a good look at this image. Can you tell who is smarter? Let's see. There's a part of the house on fire, so ice would be a bad way to try to extinguish it. You would have to wait for the ice to melt into water. But during that time, the fire just grows. Liquid water is the best medium for rapid extinguishment, so the person on the right looks like they know what they are doing. Aura had been searching for the entrance to Bythia, a hidden city inside a mountain, for ages. She searched the 7 seas and the 7 lands until she finally found a hidden door, guarded by 3 ancient creatures. She asked them if this was the entrance to Bythia, but they wouldn't say a word. Finally, the wise owl said she had to give a correct answer to a riddle from each creature, and only then they would tell her about Bythia. The wise owl said, "I have branches, yet I'm not a tree. I have a bank, yet I hold no money. What am I? Can you help Aura out?" The correct answer is a river. A river has branches that flow into different streams, and the sides of the river are called riverbanks. The fox was up next, and his riddle said, "I have a bed, yet I don't sleep. I have a mouth, yet don't eat. What am I?" Aura took a while to figure this one out, but she got it right. Can you guess what she said? It's an oven, duh. Pretty obvious now that you think of it. Up next was the deer. He said, "I have a face, yet no eyes to see. I have a tail, yet no ability to wag. What am I?" Do you know how to answer this one? It's a clock. A clock has a face with numbers but no eyes. And it has a tail that we call a pendulum, but it doesn't wag like an animal's tail. The wise owl opened the door and showed Aura that there were 3 pathways leading to Bythia. She should choose the correct one, otherwise she would get stuck in this in-between place forever and would never be able to get out. Take a look at the pathways. Which one should Aura choose to complete her journey? The first pathway looks like it has some poisonous flowers. The air looks like it's filled with their poisoned pollen, so that wouldn't be a nice one to go. The second pathway has dozens of angry-looking stags that could harm Aura, and the last one has a big lake that leads into a trail. She should go with the last one. On a rainy Saturday night, John and Katie decided to stay in, order pizza, and watch the Riddle channel on their TV. On the screen, they saw a man hanging for his life on the branch of a tree. He was surrounded by angry people. Down below, there were a group of guys with huge bats waiting for him to let go of the branch, and above him was an angry guy on a helicopter ready to grab him. Is there any way the guy can escape this trap? He should throw the bat that's in his pocket to the floor, aiming at the group below him. Hopefully, it would hit the guys below on the head, so he could let go of the branch and run as fast as he could into that nearby tunnel. This way, he'd escape the helicopter dude as well.